And now I'd like to call on the Minister to officially help us to launch our 50th anniversary celebrations. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you for the invitation to come along here to assist you with the launch of the 50th anniversary. And Judy Roach, the chair of EIL. It's a significant event for any organisation to reach the half century, and indeed Kevin has reached the quarter century himself. Dare I say it in age, but in terms of his directorship of EIL. I'm not sure how long Judy has been chair, but it's an interesting organisation. I always thought that the title of the organisation was very interesting, Experiment in International Living. I'm very excited about the title in its own right. But it's a pleasure for me to come along as Minister for Trade and Development in the government and to have the opportunity of assisting you here with the launch, not just the launch, but to celebrating the 50th anniversary and with the launch of the Travel Awards and to mark the events that will take place in this year, 2014. A lot of them are taking place in Cork, of course. Kevin has an influence on that. But the big launch, I think, is taking place down in Cork. But there's a whole series of events throughout the year in 2014 to mark the 50th anniversary of EIL here in Ireland. And of course, EIL was founded in 1932 in the United States, then came to Ireland, I think it was 50 years ago, of course, 1964, and went from strength to strength. But listening to the young people speak about their experiences, you can see how seminal those experiences are. How absolutely wonderful it is for a young person to have the opportunity of going abroad to a country that's in another continent, total different culture, different language, different experience, different way of life in every area, and just to immerse themselves in that for a period of weeks or months. It's an enormously life-changing experience, and it really is the pinnacle of interculturalism. We're very interested in that in Irish Aid, and in my department, I'm responsible for Irish Aid, which is Ireland's International Cooperation Development Fund and agency that's in the Department of Foreign Affairs. And we find that EIL is one of the cutting-edge organisations in terms of its educational awareness, its interaction, its interculturalism, and all of the engagement that it brings to bear in terms of the work that it's doing. And that is absolutely essential when we're talking about a global village, when we're talking about the world as we would like to see it. Not a world where you have people in a disparate situation there, you have other people there in isolation and so on, but the coming together of minds and indeed bodies, people physically will be in a place where they would not be otherwise. And in terms of awareness, in terms of education, in terms of experience, in terms of engagement, that really is extremely important. That's why I'm delighted to be here, delighted to have been asked by Kevin to assist at the launch here today. We ourselves are celebrating our 40th anniversary of Irish Aid. We were formed in 1974. Irish Aid is one of those organisations that once you join the European Union, every country in the European Union has to have an international cooperation development element to it. The target is that each country makes a contribution to the UN target, which is 0.7% of gross domestic product, which is a considerable amount of money. Everybody thinks that we give 2 or 3% or 5% of everything, and the country goes on aid abroad, but it's 0.7% is the target. We are at the present time about 0.45% of that target, so we're quite away from it, but we have in our program for government there is a commitment to reach it in so far as soon as possible when the economic situation enables that to take place. And that feeds in then to contributing large numbers of volunteers. Every year about 4,500 Irish people volunteer to go abroad to different countries throughout the world. And there's really very small limits on the countries that they go to. But we've focused largely on sub-Saharan Africa because they're the poorest countries in the world. So there's 4,500, which is quite sizable, as well as all the organisations that are engaged in other ways, like Trócaire and Goal, who have regular standard people on a formal basis working in those areas. So that's another extension of the work that you're doing here, and it's extremely important. And we see it very much in the context, the whole concept of the global process and global engagement and interaction and exchange and bringing people from other countries over here to Ireland as well in the same type of situation. So that's all flowing in now at the present time into what we call the second millennium process. 2000 to 2015 was the first millennium goals, and they established a challenge to try and reduce poverty in the world by about half, and to deal with education, to deal with disease, to deal with famine, to deal with all of that. And there has been very substantial achievement in that respect. Education has reached a level now where about 95% of the world's population, unless you're in a dysfunctional country where there's conflict like Syria at the present time, or the Central African Republic, where I was in Brussels discussing what we're going to do with it yesterday, how we're going to engage with it, because it's gone totally out of control. And the European Union is going to be very careful through its economics and into peacekeeping and so on. About 95% of all children in the world are now going to school at primary level. And they are not getting a great education, but they are going to school. So there has been enormous progress in the last 15 years. The challenge for your generation is that the next 15 years of the Millennium Development Goals, that they will actually do what we're seeking to putting together the program at the present time, and the framework, and the priorities, and the vision. And the vision is the elimination of poverty through sustainable development. That's the motto for the next 15 years. So the ideal would be that we would be able to eliminate extreme poverty throughout the world. Of course, that means education, that means intercultural engagement, that means a global village in every sense, and it fits in very well to what you're doing in terms of the linkages and the travel and the engagement in countries and societies and communities abroad. So there is the opportunity for this generation, for the first generation in the world ever, to be able to eliminate extreme poverty. And it's an amazing concept to be able to think of that it can be done, and it can be done over the next 15 to 20 years. So I'm extraordinarily pleased to be here to look at it in that broader macro picture, to realise what you have done. You've been pioneers over the years when nobody was doing anything. 1934 is a long time. 1964 is a long time when you go back in Ireland. How different Ireland was 50 years ago. Anybody who travelled from Ireland probably didn't come back. They went out of Ireland looking for a job and weren't able to return because those were great years of poverty in Ireland. And now we're in a situation whereby we can engage to a much greater degree. And I'm particularly really anxious to see how young people who do go abroad can have such life-changing experiences, get a different perspective of the world itself and other people in the world, and just how broadly an educational activity that is. It's hugely educated. It's good for the young people themselves, hugely, but also the very fact that they can bring back the experience and that then has its own impact in the lives that they lead back home here in Ireland and so on. So I would love to see the two young people who are speaking there to get engaged in politics. Politics has a bad reputation, but it hasn't. That doesn't mean that all politics is bad. Most politicians are very determined to try and improve people's lives and to work for the betterment of people. And it's very important that we have good people in politics, because that's where the policy decisions are made. That's where the decisions in relation to people's lives are made. That's where the benefits of your travel abroad, your experiences with other cultures, can be brought to impact on your own lives and on the lives of people around you here. So, you have a great organisation, Kevin and Julie, 50 years of experience and success. Another 50 years are coming down the road. I'm sure we both here together at that time again. But you will be here, and it's tremendous to be able to be celebrating the 50th anniversary, to acknowledge the great work that has been done, to see what's being planned for the whole year ahead, and to look forward for the next 50 years to come. So the best of luck to everybody here, and I look forward to watching the progress of EIL in the years to come. Thank you. I don't need speech, but I think I leave it.
Thank you, Minister. I'd like to call on Julie, the chairperson of the board of EIL.